Hello and welcome to episode 097 of the Bit Beacon broadcast. It's September 15th, 2025. You can call me Kodax, and I'll be your host through this week's episode. So, I have spent the better part of this last weekend playing the large new annual update for Genshin Impact. Rather than call it version 6.0, they're giving the game a new subtitle, Song of the Welkin Moon. This update takes players into a new autonomous region, which is not ruled by one of the game's leaders known as Archons, but is instead made up of multiple different factions that have each laid claim to a different area of the region. This came as a surprise to players who were expecting to meet Genshin Impact's final Archon in the region of Snezhnaya, but we will have to wait at least another year before we cross over into that Russia-inspired snowy region. Instead, in Nod Cry, Hoyoverse is attempting to tie a bunch of loose ends together to get players on the same page before we jump into the final chapter of Genshin Impact's first arc. Not that Genshin Impact is ending anytime soon. The game developers have recently said they want to see the game running for another 10 to 20 years. So what do I think of this new update? Well, so far, it has really sunk its hooks into me. This past weekend alone, I probably played for at least 15 hours. That's no small feat for a game these days. I find myself 2-3 hours, I need a break. I gotta go outside, I gotta go do something. Genshin Impact this weekend made me just know life and never leave the couch. As usual, the exploration of Genshin Impact's open world continues to surpass any other game I've played with its seemingly limitless secrets and world quests. The story has also been pretty decent, with some segments really capturing my interest. I'm finding myself skipping a lot less dialogue than I usually do, and actually paying attention because of what's being discussed by the characters and what the action that's happening on screen during these story segments is actually pretty important and relevant to the overall plot of the game. They were not kidding when they said they wanted to step up the story presentation and unify everything that has been going on across the world of Teyvat. I'm mostly finished with the exploration portion of this update, but still have quite a bit of story content to get through, so I'm excited to get back to playing as soon as I am done recording this episode. Natsumon is unfortunately kind of on the back burner while I get through this Genshin stuff, but I do plan on getting back to that and, eventually giving my final thoughts on my playthrough of that month of August in Natsumon that I'm currently about halfway through. But before then, we're going to do an unboxing right here, live, during this recording. I have here in my hand Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar, Premium Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. So the Premium Edition is the usual Marvelous Exceed. They do this for almost every single one of the releases of the games they publish. They put together a nice little box set with some extra goodies. I find that often it's really not much of a point in buying their stuff on day one because often it's discounted, but there are certain series that they publish that I definitely want to show day one support to with my full USD, MSRP dollar bills. So this is one of them. Big fan of the Story of Season series ever since I played Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town on Game Boy Advance way back in the day. So let's dive into this one. I've got a little rip here. My box did come slightly damaged. I did get the game at a small discount because I purchased it at Target. And yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that the upper right hand corner of the front of the box did get a little bit of a ding while it was in transit. Definitely stinks. I gotta say, Exceed, I'm usually not the biggest fan of how they do their boxes, but they're either trying something new here, and I really like this format, although I kind of appreciated how consistent it was prior, and now these are going to be a little bit different. Okay, so let's see. The first thing we have here in this edition is a Story of Seasons pocket plush. So this is a small plush of, I believe, a sheep. And so it's common for the kind of deluxe premium physical editions of these Story of Season games to include either a plush as like a pre-order bonus or as something in the special edition. So this one is no different, adding to my little collection of farm animals here. The next thing we have here is a fabric poster of what looks like the key art of the game, the same art, or the premium edition art of the game, the same art that's on the front cover of this box here. The dimensions are 20 by 14, so pretty big. Fabric posters, not really my favorite thing to get. I'd rather have a regular poster, but the thing is, when they pack a regular poster inside of a game edition and it's a really big poster, there's usually no way to put it in a tube or anything like that, so you end up getting folds. So these fabric posters are at least a nice way to get something without a bunch of creases. Even if you do have some creases, you can easily iron it out. So yeah, a nice fabric poster. That's a cool treat. Okay, here we've got what looks to be a 2-disc soundtrack. Yes, there are 66 tracks on this physical CD soundtrack. I love that they are still keeping physical CD soundtracks alive. There's not just a download code. You're seeing that a lot these days. Give me the CDs. I want to make my own rips. So yeah, it's got great cover artwork. Looks to be some concept artwork of one of the characters. I think it might be the female protagonist, or some. Actually, it doesn't really quite look like her. It might be someone else, or just some art that just never really made it into the final game. That happens a lot. So that's great. You can hear those discs sliding around in there. Okay, and then of course we have the game itself. So this is the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which in and of itself is a from the ground up remake / reimagining of a Nintendo DS game. But this game has some really nice presentation to it. A lot of people kind of look at this as like the first truly next-gen Story of Seasons game, and I'm inclined to agree from what I've seen so far. And this is a rare third-party game on Nintendo Switch 2 where the full game is on the cartridge inside the game. So once again, shout out to Marvelous, shout out to Xseed for actually giving gamers what they want, giving them the real game on the full cartridge. You have my respect. Seriously, keep it up, guys. You're one of the few publishers who's actually doing Nintendo Switch 2 correct, and we appreciate it. And then the last item here in this box, wow, it's a pretty hefty, kind of a half-size art book. It's probably about 5 inches by 8 inches, I would say. So it's got kind of a widescreen view. Widescreen, that's a little, I'm not sure why I said widescreen, that's embarrassing. But yeah, here we've got kind of the official final character art for all the characters. And then we've got the animal art. We've got lots of world concept art. We've got map art. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this artwork, or this art book. And yeah, including lots of like different kind of furniture designs and things like that for the game. Yeah, definitely a neat thing to have. I appreciate, a real physical art book. You're seeing another thing where we're getting digital art books as like a pre-order bonus when you pre-order a game on the store. And it's like it either adds like some kind of DLC to the game, or it like is a separate application altogether from the game, where all you can do is just look at the digital artwork. And I think it usually has like screenshots disabled, so you can't even really take advantage of it in that way, which is, definitely a bummer. I am noticing here where the art book is kind of dinged a little bit in the same corner where there was some damage on this side of the package, which is, a little annoying to me. But again, that's part of the experience when you buy physical, since we really don't too often go into stores to get them anymore. You're just kind of left with whatever you get when it gets shipped to you. And sadly, a lot of online retailers will do whatever they can to not ship something in a box. They would rather ship it to you in like the tiniest little plastic sleeve. Sometimes there's not even like any bubbles in the sleeve, and it's just like a thin piece of like plastic sheet paper, with like a little sticky flap on it, and then they just call it a day and ship it to you. So yeah, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. I was originally thinking of playing this, but then Natsumon kind of caught my eye early. I don't know really what I'm going to play after Natsumon for my next kind of single player thing. Honestly, it might end up being Pokemon Legends ZA, which is coming out in mid-October, so I don't know that I'll have time to sink my teeth into anything too big before then, because I expect Natsumon will probably take me to the end of September at the latest. So yeah, we'll see when I get around to playing Story Seasons, but again, happy to show my day one support for the game, and really shout out to Xseed for continuing to do physical editions on Nintendo Switch 2 right. A wild Pokemon event has appeared. The Pokemon Company is bringing a special experience to the same venue where IGN Live has been held in recent years, the Magic Box in Los Angeles. The event will be held from September 26th to the 28th, and attendees will be able to enjoy this 30-minute experience as described here. Step inside and journey through a mystical museum-like experience featuring 10 towering cards featuring Pokemon from the Mega Evolution expansion. Take photos with each one and with statues of Mega Lucario and Mega Gardevoir, and marvel at the massive artwork on display. Visiting trainers can collect stamps at each card station, and as you reach the end of the exhibit, you'll receive Pokemon TCG Fun Packs and more as our thanks for dropping by while supplies last. I have reservations for this basically sold out event. I think you can get on a wait list if you haven't yet got tickets. There's like every 10 minutes they let in a new wave of people. And I think each session must hold about 30 or so slots. So yeah, I've got a reservation for 9 a.m. on Saturday and on Sunday. I'm not sure I'll go to both days, especially if the freebies are kind of underwhelming, but I will definitely be there one of the 2 days and will report back on how it went. Sadly, it's time to pour one out. The composer of retro game classics, such as Gimmick on the Famicom and NES, Masashi Kageyama, has died. The news was broken by Tokyo-based record label Brave Wave, who shared this tribute, which I have lightly abbreviated. We are deeply saddened to share that Kageyama-san passed away on the morning of September 5th, 2025, after a courageous battle with stomach cancer. Kageyama-san was the beloved composer of Gimmick and a cherished member of Brave Wave. His jovial spirit, warm humor, and boundless enthusiasm left an indelible mark on everyone who had the privilege of working with him. Beyond his legendary work in video game music, he was a gifted photographer and an accomplished saxophonist, dedicating his life to both his art and his passions with equal devotion. We extend our heartfelt condolences to Kageyama-san's family and friends, as well as to the passionate fans who celebrated and supported his remarkable artistry. The rediscovery of Gimmick's soundtrack brought him immense joy, and he often shared how deeply grateful he felt to be seen, heard, and loved by so many. Kageyama-san's music, his laughter, and his spirit will continue to inspire us. He will be profoundly missed. May he rest in peace. The Brave Wave family. Kageyama-san visited and performed music from Gimmick in the US for the very first time just earlier this year when he attended MagFest, the annual celebration of all things video game music held in Maryland, a place where he would truly be celebrated. If you've never played Gimmick or heard its tunes, I encourage you to explore the soundtrack. I recommend tracks such as Just Friends and Good Weather, if nothing else. The Bit Beacon would like to express our condolences to Kageyama-san's family, friends, and loved ones. Rest in peace. End transmission.